The morning sun filtered softly through the trees, painting the forest in warm shades of gold and green. Alex woke early, refreshed from a night of quiet reflection near the stream. He felt a calm determination, a sense of confidence that had grown steadily since his first encounter with the alien royal. The previous day's challenge had tested him in ways he had never imagined, and he realized that he had learned more about himself and the forest than he could have anticipated. As he prepared to explore again, he noticed movement near the clearing where he had first met the alien royal. She was approaching, not with arrogance or haughtiness, but with purpose and a quiet respect. Her attendants stayed behind, leaving her to approach Alex directly. For the first time, there was no tension or challenge in her eyes, only acknowledgement of what had passed and curiosity for what might come next. "Human," she said, her voice calm. "I have watched you for days now. I have seen your patience, your intelligence, and your care for this forest. You have done what most of my people could not." Alex paused, unsure how to respond. Words had rarely carried so much weight. He realized that her recognition was not just a compliment, it was a turning point, a shift in understanding that could change both their worlds. He smiled gently. "I have only tried to learn from the forest and from what I observe. I did not mean to impress anyone." His humility was genuine, and she could sense it. Unlike many others who might have sought attention or praise, Alex had acted from thoughtfulness and respect, and that made his accomplishments even more remarkable. The alien royal studied him carefully. She realized that respect was not something that could be demanded. It was earned through actions, through wisdom, and through consistency. In Alex, she saw qualities that her people valued highly, yet that she had not expected to find in a human. His calm intelligence had saved part of the forest, guided creatures safely, and even influenced her own decisions and thoughts. For the first time, she felt a deep respect for someone she had once dismissed. Alex noticed the change in her demeanor. She no longer carried the sharpness of insult, the pride of superiority, or the impatience of youth. Instead, she carried understanding and a willingness to listen. It was clear that she had learned from him as much as he had learned from her. The silence that had once been a test had now become a bridge, a way for two very different beings to meet on common ground. As they walked together through the forest, they observed the signs of their recent efforts. Trees that had been damaged now stood firm. Small animals returned to their natural routines, and the unstable energy had settled into a harmonious balance. The forest itself seemed to acknowledge their work, responding with a sense of calm and renewal. Alex felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing that patience and careful action had led to such positive results. The alien royal spoke again. "I underestimated you when we first met. I thought your size, your appearance, and your species meant weakness. But you have shown me that strength comes in many forms, and sometimes the quietest actions have the greatest impact." Alex nodded, understanding that her words were sincere. This acknowledgement carried more weight than any reward or recognition could. It represented understanding, growth, and mutual respect. They continued through the forest, talking quietly, sharing observations, and exchanging insights. Alex learned about the alien royal's culture, her responsibilities, and her perspective on leadership. She, in turn, listened to his thoughts, his experiences on Earth, and his reflections on patience, observation, and self-control. Each story, each lesson, strengthened the connection between them, bridging the gap between two very different worlds. By midday, they reached a high clearing that overlooked a wide expanse of forest. Sunlight poured down in golden streams, illuminating every detail. The alien royal paused, looking out over the landscape. "This forest is alive, isn't it?" she said softly. Alex nodded. "It teaches those who listen. It rewards patience, thoughtfulness, and respect. That is why I walked carefully, why I observed, and why I did not react hastily to your words." She turned to him, eyes bright. "You have taught me a lesson, human, not through confrontation, but through quiet strength. Your calmness and intelligence have changed the way I see the world and the way I see myself." Alex felt a warm satisfaction. He had never set out to teach her anything, yet the impact of his actions had gone far beyond what he imagined. It was proof that humility, patience, and careful observation could influence even those who seemed untouchable. As the day passed, the alien royal called her attendants to observe Alex with new eyes. They saw how he moved, how he made decisions, and how he interacted with the forest. His patience, intelligence, and respect were evident in every action. The attendants, who had once questioned his abilities, now viewed him with admiration and curiosity. They began to understand that respect was earned, not demanded, and that strength came in many forms, not all of them visible at first glance. Alex and the alien royal spent the remainder of the day walking through the forest, sharing insights and learning from one another. Their partnership had grown from a single insult and a silent walk away into a relationship built on trust, respect, and understanding. It was clear that their experiences had changed them both, shaping their perspectives, their actions, and their future interactions. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Alex felt a sense of completion. The forest, once a place of mystery and challenge, had become a place of learning and growth. He had faced tests of patience, intelligence, and self-control, and he had succeeded. The alien royal standing beside him had grown as well. She had learned humility, respect, and the importance of quiet strength. Before leaving the forest, the alien royal turned to Alex. "I may have insulted you at first, but I see now that you are more than a human. You are a being of insight, patience, and quiet power. You have earned my respect, and you have changed the way I think about strength and leadership." Alex smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. He had faced insult, challenge, and danger, and had emerged stronger, not just for himself, but for someone who had once underestimated him. As they parted ways, Alex walked away without looking back, carrying with him the lessons of patience, self-control, and quiet strength. The alien royal returned to her people, thoughtful and changed, her perspective forever altered by a human who had walked into her forest, faced her insult, and responded with calm intelligence. The forest settled into its natural rhythm once more. Birds sang, animals moved freely, and the air carried the calm energy of balance and harmony. Alex had learned that dignity, patience, and thoughtful action could overcome insults, challenges, and even dangerous situations. The alien royal had learned that respect could not be demanded. It had to be earned through consistent, wise, and humble actions. Their encounter, brief as it had begun, had become a story of growth, understanding, and mutual respect. The lessons of patience, observation, and quiet strength would remain with both of them, guiding their actions and shaping their future. And though they walked separate paths, the memory of this time together would influence them forever. A reminder that true strength is not always loud or visible, but often quiet, deliberate, and deeply powerful. In the end, the human who had walked away without a word and the alien royal who had learned to see strength in unexpected ways had both discovered the value of understanding, patience, and respect. Their story, though simple in its events, carried a profound lesson. Sometimes the quietest actions leave the deepest impact. The peace of the forest was suddenly broken by an unexpected disturbance. A loud, unusual sound echoed through the trees, followed by tremors in the ground. Alex froze, listening carefully. The creatures around him scurried nervously, and the wind carried the scent of something foreign and dangerous. His heart raced, but he did not panic. He had learned to observe first and react second. Staying calm, he scanned the surroundings, noting shadows moving faster than usual and the subtle changes in the air. Something was coming, something that would require intelligence, patience, and quick thinking to handle. The alien royal, sensing the same disturbance from her quarters, realized that the situation was serious. The disturbance affected both humans and aliens in the area. She felt a mixture of worry and urgency. Normally, she would have relied on her attendants to manage the situation while she observed, but this time, she felt that the human, Alex, might hold the key to solving the problem. His calm and intelligent behavior had already proven unusual and effective. Though she hesitated to admit it, she knew that she needed him. Alex began moving toward the source of the disturbance, keeping a careful eye on the environment. He noticed signs of damage in the trees, broken branches, and disturbed undergrowth, evidence of a force moving through the forest. Despite the danger, he kept a clear mind. Every step was calculated, every observation noted. He understood that panic could lead to mistakes, and mistakes could be dangerous for both him and the creatures around him. The alien royal followed from a distance, hidden but watching closely. She noticed how Alex interacted with the forest environment using his knowledge and observation to avoid danger. His calmness contrasted sharply with the panic of the smaller creatures, who often rushed and scattered. She realized that his intelligence lay not just in thinking, but in acting with care and precision. Each decision he made seemed measured, as if he had already predicted the possible outcomes and was choosing the safest path. As Alex moved further, he came across the source of the disturbance. A large section of the forest was affected by a strange, unstable energy. Trees shook, and the ground shifted beneath them. Alex could see the danger clearly. If it continued unchecked, it could destroy parts of the forest and harm both the alien inhabitants and himself. He took a deep breath and quickly began analyzing the situation, trying to find a way to stabilize it. His mind raced, connecting observations he had made over the past few days with the current challenge. The alien royal, realizing the seriousness of the situation, stepped forward carefully, showing herself to Alex for the first time since their initial encounter. Her presence was commanding, but there was an unusual tone of respect in her voice. "Human," she said, "this is beyond what my people can handle alone. I need your help." Alex paused, studying her expression. There was no arrogance now, only a mix of urgency and respect. He nodded, understanding that his calm, thoughtful approach had earned her trust. Working together, Alex and the alien royal began to analyze the unstable energy. He suggested methods to redirect the energy using natural resources from the forest, while she guided him on how to interact with the alien technology nearby. They communicated through a mixture of gestures and simple words, each learning from the other. Alex was surprised at how capable she was when humility replaced arrogance, and she was equally surprised at his ingenuity and patience. The combination of his calm intelligence and her knowledge created a plan that had a real chance of success. As they worked, Alex noticed subtle patterns in the energy that others might have missed. Small shifts in the light, vibrations in the ground, and changes in the behavior of forest creatures gave him clues about the safest way to stabilize the area. He explained his observations to the alien royal, who listened carefully, clearly, impressed by his attention to detail. Together, they began executing a careful strategy, moving stones and branches to redirect the energy, using water from the stream to absorb excess force, and adjusting the surrounding environment to balance the unstable flow. The situation was tense. At any moment, a wrong step could have disastrous consequences. Yet Alex remained calm, guiding each action with precision. The alien royal, inspired by his calm confidence, followed his instructions carefully. She realized that true leadership was not about giving orders, but about listening, observing, and acting wisely. For the first time, she felt that she was learning from someone she had once insulted. Hours passed, and the tension slowly decreased. The energy in the forest began to stabilize. Trees stopped shaking, the ground settled, and the creatures cautiously returned to their natural behavior. Alex and the alien royal took a moment to observe the results. They had succeeded, not through brute force, but through careful planning, observation, and teamwork. Both of them felt a mixture of relief, satisfaction, and newfound respect for each other. The alien royal looked at Alex, her eyes no longer filled with arrogance but with admiration. "You have strength," she said quietly. "Not the kind I expected, but the kind that matters." Alex smiled faintly, understanding that the compliment was sincere. It was a recognition of his calm intelligence, his patience, and his ability to act without letting fear or anger control him. Alex realized that the encounter had changed both of them. He had been tested not only by her insult, but now by the danger in the forest. He had proven to himself that calmness and intelligence were as powerful as strength and speed. The alien royal had learned that respect and leadership could be earned through thoughtfulness and humility, not just by demanding it. As night approached, the forest returned to its natural rhythm. The disturbance had been contained, and life slowly resumed its normal pace. Alex and the alien royal sat quietly near the stream, reflecting on what had happened. Neither spoke much, but there was an unspoken understanding between them. Both had grown, both had learned, and both had gained a deeper appreciation for qualities they had once overlooked in each other. The alien royal finally broke the silence. "You are unlike any human I have ever known," she said softly. "You have taught me something important today." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of her words. It was a rare acknowledgement of respect, the kind that could change perspectives and relationships. He realized that even without words, his actions had spoken volumes. The night was calm and quiet. The forest had returned to peace, and the stars reflected in the clear waters of the stream. Alex and the alien royal sat side by side, silently observing the beauty of the world around them. They had faced a challenge together, each learning from the other, each respecting the strengths and insights of the other. It was a moment of growth, not just for the human or the alien, but for the bond that was beginning to form between them. By the end of the night, both felt a sense of accomplishment and understanding. The alien royal had discovered that intelligence and calmness could surpass arrogance and force, and Alex had learned that patience, observation, and quiet strength could overcome challenges that seemed impossible. The forest had tested them both, and in the process, they had earned each other's respect. And so, as dawn approached, a new understanding had formed. The alien royal no longer saw the human as small or weak. Alex no longer saw her as simply arrogant or unapproachable. They had faced danger together, learned from each other, and emerged stronger and wiser. The stage was now set for what would come next, a moment of recognition and lasting change that would shape both of their lives. The days after the first encounter passed quietly for Alex, but he knew that the forest and its strange visitors were never truly silent. He moved carefully, observing every movement, listening to every sound. Even though he had walked away from the alien royal without a word, he realized that his presence had not gone unnoticed. Shadows seemed to follow him, not threatening but curious. Small movements in the trees, flickers of light between the leaves, and whispers of creatures unseen gave him a sense that the forest was alive in ways he had never imagined. Alex began noticing patterns. Birds seemed to change direction when he approached. Small animals paused to watch him before darting away. Even the wind seemed to carry messages he could not fully understand. He realized that his calm, deliberate movements had set him apart. from ordinary humans who might have rushed through the forest, making noise, disturbing the balance. By walking carefully and observing, he had gained something others rarely noticed: awareness. Meanwhile, the alien royal watched from afar. She had been following him, though she kept herself hidden, curious to see what kind of human he really was. She had expected him to fade into fear, confusion, or anger. But he had done none of these. Instead, he had learned from his environment, adapted to it, and moved with purpose. She whispered to her attendants, expressing frustration and surprise at the human's abilities. They watched silently as she studied him, realizing that his calmness was a rare trait, even among her people. Alex, unaware of the alien's observation, continued deeper into the forest. He discovered a natural clearing where sunlight poured through the trees, creating a warm, golden pool of light. Here he decided to rest and think. He reflected on the strange reactions he had seen from the animals and the subtle movements in the forest. It occurred to him that silence and careful observation could be more powerful than confrontation. By not reacting to the alien's insult, he had gained insight into his surroundings and into the beings observing him. The alien royal, meanwhile, was feeling a mixture of emotions. Curiosity had grown stronger than her initial arrogance. She realized that this human was not ordinary. He had faced her insult without fear or anger, showing patience and intelligence. For the first time, she began to question her assumptions about humans. Were they truly as weak and insignificant as her culture had taught her to believe? Or did strength come in ways she had never recognized? As Alex continued to explore, he stumbled upon a small group of alien creatures, smaller than the royal but still unlike anything he had seen before. They appeared cautious, unsure whether he was a threat. Alex did not panic. Instead, he remained calm, speaking softly, moving slowly, and allowing them to see that he meant no harm. The creatures approached cautiously, sniffing and examining him before finally settling near him, seemingly accepting his presence. The alien royal observed all of this. She felt a strange sense of admiration, though she would never openly admit it. Her human subjects, she had thought, would be incapable of such composure. Yet here was one, handling unknown creatures and navigating an unfamiliar environment with confidence and care. She began to understand that his strength was not in physical power or weapons, but in self-control, intelligence, and observation. Alex spent the rest of the day learning about the forest. He noticed hidden paths, secret streams, and small natural shelters that would have been impossible to find if he had rushed or panicked. He felt a growing connection to the forest, as if it were guiding him, rewarding his patience and attention. This realization gave him confidence. He began to understand that he could survive, even thrive in this strange environment, not by fighting it, but by observing and learning from it. The alien royal's curiosity continued to grow. She could not stop thinking about how unusual this human was. Most beings would have reacted immediately to an insult, some with anger, some with fear, and others with defiance. Alex had done none of these. Instead, he had observed, adapted, and interacted with the forest in a calm and thoughtful way. She realized that he was teaching her, without meaning to, about the power of patience, intelligence, and humility. As night fell, Alex built a small shelter and gathered food from the forest. His movements were careful and deliberate, ensuring that he did not disturb the environment more than necessary. He found comfort in the simplicity of the task, appreciating the calm that came from focused action. The alien royal watched him from a distance, impressed by his resourcefulness. She realized that strength was not always shown through power or aggression. Sometimes it was shown through quiet determination and careful observation. During the night, Alex reflected on the lessons he had learned so far. He thought about the alien royal, her pride, and the insult she had delivered. He understood that her arrogance came from her upbringing and culture, not malice. By choosing not to react, he had preserved his dignity and gained insight into her character. He also understood that his calmness had an effect on those around him, even if they did not speak. Observation, patience, and self-control were teaching him more than any confrontation ever could. The alien royal, in her quarters, could not sleep. She kept replaying Alex's movements, his calm demeanor, and his careful interactions with the forest creatures. Her attendants whispered about his unusual abilities, some suggesting that he might be a being of exceptional strength or intelligence. She began to feel a mixture of respect, curiosity, and unease. For the first time, she questioned her assumptions about humans and wondered if she had underestimated the potential of this one. By the next morning, Alex had explored much of the area he had discovered. He knew that his presence had been noted by both the creatures of the forest and the alien royal, yet he felt no fear, only a quiet confidence. He understood that his actions had consequences, that even silence and calmness could influence those around him. The forest had become a place of learning, growth, and reflection. The alien royal decided to approach him, though not directly. She sent one of her attendants to observe his behavior more closely to see if his calmness was consistent or merely a temporary reaction. Alex, unaware of being watched, continued to demonstrate patience, intelligence, and respect for his surroundings. Every decision he made, from finding food to interacting with creatures, showed thoughtfulness and care. The attendants returned with reports, and the alien royal felt both surprise and admiration. This human, small and unassuming, had shown qualities that her people valued highly: intelligence, patience, and the ability to remain calm under pressure. She realized that he had gained respect not through confrontation, but through quiet observation and thoughtful action. By the end of the third day, both Alex and the alien royal had changed in subtle ways. Alex had learned the value of calmness, patience, and careful observation in an unfamiliar environment. The alien royal had begun to question her assumptions about humans, recognizing that true strength could appear in unexpected forms. Both had grown, each influenced by the other's behavior, setting the stage for events that would test their understanding, resilience, and respect for one another. The forest, once merely a place of exploration, had become a school of life for Alex, and the alien royal, who had entered the encounter with arrogance and certainty, had begun a journey of curiosity, humility, and newfound respect for a human who had walked away without a word, yet left a lasting impression. Alex walked deeper into the forest, each step taking him further from the alien royal's clearing. Even though he had physically distanced himself, his mind replayed every detail of the encounter. Her words echoed in his head, sharp and confident, meant to provoke a reaction. Yet, the silence he had chosen was deliberate, a quiet power he was beginning to understand more clearly. He realized that this moment was not just a chance meeting. It was an opportunity to see himself in a new light. Finding a small clearing, with soft moss beneath his feet, Alex sat down. The forest seemed unusually still around him, as if it, too, respected his moment of reflection. He closed his eyes and let his thoughts settle. In the past, he had often reacted quickly to insults or challenges. Sometimes his reactions had led to arguments or unnecessary conflict. But now, he saw the value of patience, of observing before acting. His silence in front of the alien royal had felt like a victory, but he wanted to understand why it felt so important. Alex thought back to his childhood experiences. He had often been underestimated by peers, teachers, and even strangers. People judged him for his quiet nature, for his curiosity about things others considered odd. He remembered moments when he had been teased or laughed at for asking questions, for exploring beyond what was familiar. Over time, he had learned to control his anger and disappointment, to find strength in calmness rather than reaction. The alien royal's insult had triggered those memories, yet instead of fueling anger, it reinforced the lessons he had learned: dignity, patience, and careful observation. Meanwhile, back in the clearing, the alien royal sat on a smooth, crystalline rock. She had expected Alex to respond with fear, anger, or desperation, but he had done none of these. The silence unsettled her. She was used to commanding respect and attention, and no one had ever ignored her in this way. She leaned forward slightly, eyes narrowing, trying to understand what kind of human could walk away without a word. Her attendants whispered quietly among themselves, unsure of how to react. The royal's frustration was growing, but so was her curiosity. As Alex reflected in the forest, he noticed small details he had not seen before. The way sunlight filtered through the leaves, the gentle sway of branches in the breeze, the faint sounds of animals moving in the distance, it all felt sharper, more alive. He realized that by staying calm, he could notice things he would have otherwise missed. The world seemed clearer, and he felt more connected to it. His thoughts shifted from the insult to the observation of life around him. Hours passed, and Alex continued to think. He wondered why the alien royal had insulted him. Was it a test? A habit of arrogance? Or simply a reflection of her upbringing in a world where power demanded respect? He didn't know, but he felt certain that understanding her motives would be important if he ever encountered her again. He also understood that this encounter might change him. By walking away calmly, he had preserved his self-respect and planted a seed of curiosity in her mind. An unusual, powerful position for someone so small and human. At the same time, the alien royal's thoughts were turbulent. She had never faced a situation where her words failed to provoke a reaction. She began to wonder if she had misjudged humans entirely. Could they be stronger than she assumed? Smarter? More patient? She had always believed that her age and status gave her an advantage in any interaction, but Alex had shown her that appearances could be deceiving. His calmness disturbed her, but it also intrigued her. She realized that he had qualities that she had not anticipated: quiet confidence, self-control, and intelligence. Back in the forest, Alex noticed that the forest floor seemed to guide him, almost as if he were discovering a path meant for reflection. He walked slowly, taking in the sounds, smells, and textures around him. Every movement was deliberate. He felt a growing sense of peace, a quiet joy in understanding himself and the world around him. The insult he had faced no longer felt like a burden. Instead, it had become a lesson, a reminder that sometimes the strongest response is to remain calm, observe, and choose one's actions carefully. As the afternoon passed, he found a small stream. He knelt beside it and dipped his hand into the cool, clear water. The reflection on the surface showed a human face, ordinary in appearance but holding a new sense of strength. He smiled faintly, realizing that this encounter was a turning point. He had been tested, and he had passed. Not by confrontation, but by remaining true to himself. Meanwhile, the alien royal had returned to her quarters in the forest. She could not stop thinking about the human. His silence had been unusual, almost unnatural to her experiences. She studied him from memory, analyzing every detail: the way he walked, the calmness in his posture, the absence of fear or anger in his eyes. She began to question her assumptions. Perhaps humans were not as weak or simple as she had believed. Perhaps strength came in forms she had never encountered before. The attendants around her exchanged quiet glances. Some were impressed by the human's behavior, others skeptical, and some worried that their leader's pride had been challenged. The alien royal remained quiet, lost in thought. She realized that her own approach might need adjustment in future encounters. The human had walked away without a word, yet he had made a powerful statement simply by being himself. She had expected fear or anger, but instead, she had been met with calmness and dignity. That alone unsettled her more than any confrontation could have. As night approached, Alex found a safe place to rest. He built a small camp near the stream, listening to the gentle flow of water and the rustle of leaves. Sleep came easily, though. His mind remained active, processing the events of the day. He understood that the alien royal's insult had been a challenge, but he had responded with self-control and reflection. He had not allowed her words to dictate his emotions or actions. He felt a sense of quiet triumph, knowing that his strength came from within, not from confrontation or aggression. The alien royal in her quarters continued to reflect as well. She realized that Alex had left an impression on her that she could not ignore. His calmness had forced her to reconsider her assumptions about humans and about power. She wondered if future interactions with him would reveal more about his abilities and perhaps more about her own limitations. The encounter had been brief, but its effects would ripple far beyond that single moment in the forest. By the time dawn approached, Alex had fully embraced the lessons of the encounter. He had learned that silence could be powerful, that calmness could command respect, and that understanding oneself was as important as understanding others. He felt ready for whatever might come next, knowing that he had already faced one of the greatest challenges, maintaining dignity in the face of insult and uncertainty. And far away, in her shimmering quarters, the alien royal could not forget him. The human who had walked away without a word had planted a question in her mind, one that she would carry forward, curious to see how it might unfold. Alex had always been fascinated by the unknown. He spent hours reading about strange creatures, distant planets, and the mysteries of the universe. Most people around him thought it was a silly obsession, but for Alex, it was a passion that made him feel alive. One afternoon, he decided to explore a part of the forest that few dared to enter. Rumors among the locals said it was a place where the ordinary rules of life didn't quite apply. There were stories of unusual lights, strange sounds, and even people claiming to have seen creatures that were not from this world. Alex didn't believe in all the stories, but he wanted to see the forest for himself, hoping to find something extraordinary. The forest was dense and quiet. The air smelled of wet earth and fresh leaves. Birds sang softly, and the occasional rustle of small animals echoed through the trees. Alex moved carefully, stepping over roots and fallen branches, his heart pounding with excitement. He felt both nervous and thrilled. He knew that anything could happen here, and he was ready to face it. As he walked deeper into the forest, he noticed something unusual. The air ahead seemed to shimmer slightly, like heat waves rising from the ground. Curious, he moved closer, and the shimmer became clearer. Suddenly, the light concentrated in one spot, and before he could react, a figure appeared. It was unlike anything Alex had ever seen. The figure was tall and elegant, standing with perfect posture. Her skin had a faint, shimmering glow, and her eyes were large and bright, reflecting colors that Alex could not name. She wore clothing that seemed alive, moving and shifting in patterns that were mesmerizing. Around her, the air seemed to hum with energy, and the forest itself felt quieter, as if it were holding its breath. Alex froze, unsure of what to do. He had expected to see something strange, but not something so regal, so commanding. The alien, because that's what he realized she must be, looked at him with an expression that was part curiosity and part amusement. She raised an eyebrow, and Alex felt a strange mixture of fear and awe. "You are a human," she said, her voice clear and melodic, but carrying an edge of mockery. "And you dare enter my forest?" Alex felt his cheeks heat up. The words were not just a question. They were a challenge. He wanted to explain himself, to say he didn't mean any harm, but before he could speak, she added, "How amusing. You are so small, so weak. Surely you cannot last here for even a minute." The words stung. Alex felt a flash of anger. No one had ever spoken to him like that before. Most people dismissed him, ignored him, or laughed at his interests. But this was different. This was an insult delivered with confidence and precision, meant to belittle him. Yet something inside him held back his reaction. He didn't shout, didn't argue, didn't even respond. Instead, he took a deep breath and simply observed. The alien royal, he realized she must be royalty because of the way she carried herself, did not seem used to being ignored. Her eyes narrowed slightly, and for the first time Alex noticed a flicker of uncertainty in her expression. The alien's presence was powerful, but her words had revealed a certain arrogance. She expected him to react, to feel afraid, to fight back or flee, but Alex had learned from his past experiences that reacting in anger or fear often gave the other person power. He chose instead to remain calm, to walk away without saying a word. As he stepped back, he noticed other figures emerging from the trees. They were smaller than the alien, but similar in appearance, moving gracefully and silently. They watched the interaction between Alex and their royal leader, whispering among themselves. Some seemed amused, others confused. Alex realized that this was more than a personal encounter. It was a demonstration of power, a test of his character without him even knowing it. He kept his eyes on the path ahead, careful not to show his feelings. The alien royal watched him closely, clearly puzzled by his silence. Normally, she would expect a human, or anyone else, to react instantly, either with fear, anger, or excitement. But Alex's calmness disrupted her expectations. She felt a strange mix of frustration and intrigue. Alex continued walking, his mind racing but his face serene. He thought about why she had insulted him and why he had chosen not to respond. He understood that strength was not always about words or actions. That could be seen. Sometimes strength was about controlling oneself, about choosing when to act and when to remain silent. He had spent years learning to control his emotions, to think before reacting, and now, in this extraordinary situation, that training was proving useful. The alien royal, noticing that he did not react, began to whisper to her attendants. Alex caught glimpses of their conversation, though he could not understand their language. The tone, however, was unmistakable. Curiosity mixed with disbelief. For the first time, Alex realized that his quiet decision had shifted the balance of power. He had walked into an unfamiliar world, faced someone far superior in strength and status, and yet remained composed. Despite the tension, Alex felt a strange sense of pride. He had not let anger dictate his actions. He had not allowed insult to control him. He had maintained his dignity even when confronted by someone who clearly underestimated him. In that moment, he felt a quiet confidence that he had never experienced before. As the alien royal looked on, Alex slowly moved away from the clearing, deeper into the forest. He did not look back. Though he knew she was watching, each step was deliberate, each movement calm and measured. He understood that this encounter would not be the last, that the alien royal would remember him, and that this moment of silent defiance had already begun to change the way she saw him. The forest around him seemed less intimidating now. The rustling leaves and distant sounds felt almost welcoming. Alex realized that the encounter, though brief, had taught him something important. Sometimes walking away without a word could be the strongest response of all. It was not defeat, nor was it fear. It was control, strategy, and self-respect combined in a single quiet act. And so Alex moved forward, leaving the alien royal standing in the clearing, her expression a mix of surprise, confusion, and perhaps the first hint of respect. The meeting had been brief, but its impact was profound. setting the stage for events that neither of them could yet imagine.